man. We are really excited about the collaboration we have. We want to bring elegant literature to the users of Spoken and teach them a little bit more about you and what you do. And I wanted to start by asking if you could just give us a little intro about yourself, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, of course, Andrew. It's great to see you again, and I'm also very excited about working with you guys. I think we both share a passion for making a positive impact on the writing industry, and that's one of the biggest things for me. My mission is I'm very much about new writers, and you guys are bringing a tool that makes it accessible for new writers to kind of get their work on, and established writers too. But you do make it accessible for new writers, so that's one of the reasons I'm really excited to do this collaboration with you. So for anyone watching this who's not familiar with me yet, my name is Craig Monroe. I'm the founder of Elegant Literature. I've done things like judge the British Fantasy Awards. I've been a juror for the best anthology category. I've read, in the 3 years I've been doing Elegant Literature, I've read more than 6,000 short stories as the editor and as an occasional judge. And I've built a writing app. It's a very dangerous writing app called Deadline Draft. You can check that out if you want. It was just a fun side project, but it will delete your work if you don't hit your word count in a certain amount of time. So I'm all about the writing and the storytelling. It's a lot of fun. I personally, when I write and I talk about storytelling. I talk about personal growth, and I talk about building a creative career, because that's, I think, at the heart of what we want to do as creative people. And I've really made it my mission to support new writers and help them, make a career out of telling stories. So that's who I am.
But as it pertains to elegant literature and why we're here today talking about it, can you give us just a little, in a nutshell, what elegant literature is and kind of how your mission ties into that?
Sure. So, I mean, elegant literature, it's basically just an extension of me. I'm pretty much I'm solo founder. I'm pretty much the only one that worked here for a long time. I do have people come on as preliminary judges. Now I've got, guest judges that have bigger names and audiences of their own. But for a long time, it's been just me, and that means that the company is an extension of my mission. So Elegant Literature's mission is also to help emerging writers become professional authors. So what we are is a short fiction magazine, an award, and a school that is exclusively for upcoming writers to start their career. It's kind of like masterclass for writers with paid publication and an award. It's basically education, community, and publication all under one roof. Trying to be kind of a one-stop shop for writers to start their career.
That's a really nice little amalgamation of really critical functions for folks that are getting their career on the move. Can you tell me a little bit about what prompted or inspired the creation or the sort of connection of these concepts as elegant
Yeah,
literature?
absolutely. And I mean, you got it right. It is kind of all of the things that you would need to start a career right in one spot. We didn't start like that. It started as just a magazine and an award, and we added the community later. We added the education part because we realized what we want to do, especially when we're working with new authors, new writers, many of whom are unpublished, many of whom haven't submitted stories anywhere before. At least two of our award winners have told me that it was the first time they ever took the chance and submitted their work anywhere ever, and they won an award for it, which is pretty fantastic. So it really is accessible to new writers, but it didn't start that way. Elegant Literature started because the writing market is hyper competitive. For everyone, but especially new writers kind of like learning the craft. As readers move away from short fiction and start using tools like, a Kindle Unlimited, where they're paying a subscription fee for unlimited reading. They're not really paying per issue subscription fees for literary journals that have been around since the 1920s or anything like that. And as they do that, these magazines, their budget is shrinking because they have less readership, less income from that, and thus they're more inclined to buy stories from famous names in order to attract new readers. Which means that it is not only hyper competitive for everybody, but extremely difficult for a new writer to break into into a professionally paid market. And that's really, in short fiction, is really where many novelists have cut their teeth at the beginning of their careers, right? They're submitting short stories, they're getting some awareness, and they move into novels. Not everyone, but a lot of people. And with that, that market shrinking, the professionally paid magazines going out of business or buying stories from fewer authors, it is a difficult place to break into and to start your career. And it's a similar situation with awards as well. Like the large literary prizes are often only for professional authors. When I was starting Elegant Literature, I was looking into this. I found a $15,000 award, but to enter, you had to have three novels published in Ireland, which is not a ton of people, right? And so it's like that's just you can't get access to some of the largest literary awards if you're an unpublished or a couple small publications as a new writer. The mid-tier ones, you may be allowed to submit to them, but you're still running up against professional authors with years of experience who are entering those mid-sized awards and prizes as well. And then, of course, you have smaller contests where the prize might be $500, but it's $20 per submission. And that is just not a good deal, no matter how you cut it. And of course, you also have to be wary, and this is a big problem with, smaller awards, ones that aren't long established with long histories, or the bigger awards, is you have to be concerned about the organizers just running the award or the contest in order to make a profit for themselves. And that's where you see $20 entry fees for a $500 prize, and the organizers just hoping to make some money off of that. And so I thought, well, what if we combined the best bits of both of these, the literary journals that is not really working anymore, and the awards, and then so let's have a large award. We'll have it only open to new writers, and then we'll blatantly profiteer from it, but we'll use the profits to pay for a magazine and put the money right back into the industry and further showcase emerging talent. And so this allowed me to sort of realize my dream of creating a fiction magazine, and but it's in a sustainable, sort of long-term way that has a positive impact on thousands of people. And so that's kind of the inspiration behind Elegant Literature and the main pieces that brought
Genesis.
me to this state. Yeah. And then of course we added the people that weren't necessarily getting published in the magazine or winning the award were still, in my mind, still kind of throwing away their money. They're paying a $10 fee for unlimited submissions, which is already really good in terms of contests, but I wanted to provide as much value as possible. So we added the community. And then later we've added this education aspect so that you can, actually get value out of it, even if you're not getting published or winning honorable mentions every time.
I'm going to repeat that back to you just in my dumb way, just because I think it will be helpful. And I want to make sure I understand. So, you basically looked around at the existing sort of magazine and contest market, and you said, "Wow, there's really a sort of barrier for entry, and it starts at X." And you have to be at this point if you want to pay to play and participate. And you said, wow, there's really an opportunity to innovate and actually foster creativity and support the community that hasn't reached that threshold yet. And you built Elegant Literature to support and create opportunity for the folks that are in this space, right? They're getting started, but they're not out, out blasting out the gates at the highest possible level with, fame and fortune and what have you. And you built an entire platform to support that large sprawling community here.
Exactly. That's pretty much sums it up right. When I started, I took a look at there's many different professional organizations of writers. I come from a science fiction and fantasy sort of background is what I've read my whole life. And so I took a look at the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America, the SFWA, or SIFWA, as I've learned
Yeah,
that
we know
we're a
SIFWA.
part of it, call it. And I looked at what their threshold for a professional was, and I said anybody that's not at that level yet is eligible for entry into Elegant Literature. What that means in practical terms, if you haven't had four publications paid at a professional rate, or you haven't, got a traditional publishing with a book deal, then you're eligible for Elegant Literature, and you're eligible until you basically hit that threshold pretty much. And then now you're a professional author. You can join the professional, and your career is started. You no longer really need Elegant Literature. Like we want to be from somebody who comes brand new, I want to write stories and I don't really know where to start. You can learn from the professionals who have come before. You have a supportive community and you can start getting publications until you're now a professional author and release in the world and go start your career. And that's kind of we want to be that training ground for the next generation of emerging talent.
No, that's a really, really great opportunity for a lot of the users of Spoken who do take themselves seriously, but maybe haven't had the platform before. So one more reason to be super excited about this collaboration. How does Elegant Literature stand out from other literary platforms and magazines? Like what is the
I mean,
difference?
I mean, every founder's going to tell you, yeah, we stand out. We're totally different, man. In our case, we are pretty unique. We're basically a totally new way of operating in the general literary magazine space and how awards work. I mean, I don't know anyone else that only publishes new writers, but also pays them that professional rate of 10 cents a word for their stories. That's a lot of that's the feedback I get from our new writers is that just no one else does this. They don't know anywhere else that is a better place to start your career where you're only competing against other new writers, not professionals, but you're still earning professional writing credits. And it's not publish everybody and we don't really care. It's still selective, it's still curated. And so getting published in Elegant Literature is a good, it's a something that people strive for rather
Take
than
pride in
just
it.
cares, right? That's the feedback I get. Of course, we also have that $3,000 grand prize award every single month. Um, most contests run on a yearly basis, whereas we're with similar amounts, where we're doing it every single month. We're one of the largest awards open to unpublished writers. And of course, also the magazine is free to download, where a lot of magazines, if they're paying the professional rates, you're paying as a reader, to $2, $3, $4 per issue, or you're buying a yearly subscription or something like that. Our magazine is free. All of the issues are available to download on our site, and there's 37 of them now. And that the idea is that we have a potential greater reach of readers, where we don't have this barrier that other magazines have so that we can kind of further showcase our emerging or our authors who are professionally paid authors once they get published with us and they can get hopefully the idea is to hopefully get them lots of readers and new fans and help them start their career, which is our whole mission. So there's lots of things that distinguish Elegant Literature as a literary magazine and an award. As a education platform, I think we're going to talk about that in a minute. So I'll not go into that too much right here.
No, you're totally fine. It sounds like you've created a really interesting economic model and an incentive program that also at the on the other hand creates a really great distribution channel for awareness for these authors, right? That's innovative, in and of its own right. So really good work there. On the topic of monetization, I want to ask, like, how does the platform support these new writers and how does it support them in monetizing their work?
Yeah, sure. So there's lots of places. There's so many new writers in the world right now, especially with like the advent of the internet, and Amazon publishing and things has really brought the ability to publish your work to a huge number of people that 20, 30 years ago wouldn't have been interested, 50 years ago on their typewriter, sending away their manuscripts to a small selection of print places. Now, reading and writing is so much more accessible to so many people. And there's lots of platforms that are taking advantage of that by saying, hey, you can just throw your story up on our platform and earn cents for the reading, the viewership, but they don't actually put a lot of effort into bringing readers into that platform. We're not like that. We adopted the sort of traditional payment method of a literary magazine. And so what we're doing is paying per word. We're paying 10 cents a word, which is a little bit higher than kind of what qualifies as professional. And we're also, of course, bringing the awards So every year we have about what 36 or $42,000 or something like that in awards per year that are going out to authors. This is including that grand prize, and every month, we're publishing 10 authors at that professional amount. We've got another 25 people that are earning honorable mentions, which come, with a mention in the magazine, but also a smaller sort of honorable mention prize. So we aren't, helping everyone monetize their work. That's not what we are. We're trying to be a place because that wouldn't help new writers. If you could just come and basically get a few cents on the dollar or something like that for your work by uploading it, that's not actually helping you start your career. In a lot of places that you can, but then the brunt is on you to do the marketing, or it's on us to bring you the readers. And what we want to do is make a showcase of emerging talent and find best ones, pay them professional rates. And the way we work is that since we're only for new writers, once you get published with us a number of times, you basically graduate out. You're no longer getting a benefit from being published with Elegant Literature. You're going to go off and get more use out of getting your stories published with other magazines and writing your book, getting a book deal, and things like that. And so, as a new writer, you're not stuck like if you're not stuck behind the same people getting published every single time because very quickly they graduate out and they move on and it opens up to new writers. So we have 37 grand like award winners in the first 3 years. We've published 270 authors across our 37 issues, and we put more than $200,000 into the hands of authors globally since we're international. So, we're trying to make a positive impact on as many writers as possible while still actually helping them to begin their career and not just, profiting off them and their desire to be a writer.
That is a total mic drop statement. But I still have a few more things I want to ask you about Elegant Literature here, and I think this is a perfect segue. Outside of monetization, there's an educational component called Author HQ. How does that factor into the way Elegant Literature operates and help with the development of these new writers that you're bringing into your network?
Sure. So this is what I said. We started as a magazine and an award. I added that community in there, and then I thought, what I was doing was I was trying to help the new writers by teaching myself, and I've written lots of articles and things like that. I created a course, and I was selling it, for I think it was like 30 or $40 or something like that. And I went, okay, it's time to increase the price of this course to $80 or something. And I thought, wait a minute, this isn't accessible, especially for new writers, right? They've got to buy my course on this. Well, it's a 3-hour course on this one little subject. They've got to buy several more courses from other authors on other subjects. You don't know if it's going to be useful to you until you've taken that course because different authors have different perspectives on things, different styles. There's so many different ways of going about writing and storytelling that no one style fits all. And so, as a new writer who wants to learn, what are you going to do? Spend hundreds of dollars on courses from different authors, from different, industry people to try and learn how it works? That doesn't make sense. It's not accessible for new writers. It's not affordable. And you're also maybe only learning from a very small pool of people, which doesn't necessarily give you the breadth of knowledge to have a good foundation in your writing career. And so what I did was let's do something where we can we already have a membership model. Let's just add education to the website. So I already work with a bunch of award-winning authors as guest judges for the award. And being in the community, I know lots of authors. So what we do is Author HQ, we bring in an award-winning author or other industry professionals, agents and editors and other publishers to talk about and use their experience as people who have been there and done it. And they will teach the craft of storytelling and the business side of storytelling, the publishing side of things. We break out the Author HQ into kind of writing and storytelling, lifestyle and mindset, because that's very important to, a long-term career, and business and publishing. And that includes traditional publishing. It includes self-publishing. It includes marketing. It includes everything you need. The idea is you can come to us with being a brand new author with no real idea. You have a story you want to write, you have an idea, but you don't know how to go about it. And you can learn the basics of how to write well and how to tell stories. And you can get through the intermediate and you get the publishing knowledge. So you go from brand new to a professional author. And that's the whole idea, that it's an ecosystem where you can learn from those who have done it before. You can learn not just from a self-professed coach who says, I have YouTube videos, I get hundreds of thousands of views on my list videos, and now I have a course where I can help you learn to rate. But I'm a YouTube professional, I'm a YouTube influencer, not necessarily a successful author who's navigated the publishing world, right? You're paying $500 on a high ticket course from somebody like that. Whereas with us now, we have literal award-winning authors in the industry. They won the awards that you, as an author, as a new writer, want to one day win. They're
Right.
published in the magazines you want to be published in. They have book deals with the traditional publishing companies, or they're self-published authors that have actually learned to do the marketing, and they're supporting themselves on their income from what they're doing. And they're teaching you directly their experience. And so we have a whole breadth of all of these people and a whole breadth of subject matter from basic to advanced. And you get access to live sessions where there's small group classes where you're actually meeting them and getting on a face-to-face, on a name-to-name first name basis with some of these authors that, otherwise you might think are so high above your level, you'd never even want to send them a message you'd be worried about sending them a message and wasting their time. Whereas here you get to meet them live, online, weekly, week after week, and you get access to 50, 60 hours of recorded training in our library of Author HQ. So and it's like a monthly fee of $27 rather than the $80 for one
Right.
3 hour portion of that. It's a far, far more affordable thing, a far better breadth, a far better depth, in my opinion. And because we're a place for new writers, that helps you learn, and you get the community aspect, and you get the monthly award and magazine where you can practice your craft by writing short stories, get published, get paid for that work, and then use all that knowledge and that experience to go be a professional author is the hope. And it seems to be working.
Another incredible way that you're lowering the barrier and access to knowledge, right? And from a diverse set of resources. Like that's amazing. And there you keep mentioning the elegant literature community as another angle that helps people to sort of hone their skills and development. Tell me more, less about the sort of outside connections and movers and shakers and established professionals, but how does the community operate for elegant
Yeah,
literature?
sure. So I mean, the community was just I was like, we need a place where people can actually be involved with elegant literature. I wanted direct feedback. I wanted to know who was submitting. I wanted to talk to the authors and kind of have more of a personal relationship. Because for a long time, a year maybe, it was just me running a company and everybody was submitting to us, but there was just faceless names and stories. And I didn't have a real sense of connection to anybody that was involved. And I was like, I don't like that personally. And also, writing is solitary work. Some of these people, and I learned later, some of them are so happy to have the community because they're like, I'm a writer finishing high school. None of my friends write. Nobody cares. My parents think it's a hobby. Um, so getting involved with other people who are actual writers, who are all geared towards the same kind of goal of becoming professionals, submitting to elegant literature with our monthly prompts. It was just a really big boost to be able to like sustainably do this and not be sad and lonely. So that was really nice. I didn't know how it was going to go because technically we are a contest. You are in competition with the other writers. And I was a little worried about putting people in a community who are directly in competition with each other, right? And since they're new, they're not involved in the industry necessarily. Might not know sort of professional etiquette, if that is even a real thing. And it turned out fantastic. Everybody in there, so kind, so helpful. We have a place to just talk about general stuff. We talk about the craft of writing and like the mental stuff behind it and the different strategies people are using. They're from all walks of life. We're international, and but also we have a space where you can help, you can edit each other's work, you can share and you can collaborate. And that was a little worrisome because they're directly in competition. But what's happening is everybody is helping each other make their work better. They're reading their stories, they're comparing notes, they're giving feedback, they're making their work better. And when people are published in the magazine or they win honorable mentions, the community congratulates them. Say, I'll see
Celebration,
messages
right?
I'll see messages every month saying, "Oh, I didn't make it in this time, but congratulations to everyone you did. I saw this person's name in there. I read your story. It was really great. I'm so glad it was published. I'm so proud of you." And so it's like an actual heartwarming and supportive community that is I'm really proud of, and I'm happy to be a part of. And I'm happy that it is, a place where people can come to be supported and have that positive feedback. And they're all working towards sort of the same prompt every month, the same theme. The stories are wildly different, but it is an energizing, creative environment, and a supportive one, celebrating wins, helping each other when they're feeling low. The community is so important, especially for a career as lonely and solitary as writing.
Just another incredible dimension of elegant literature. And I want to, we've touched on it throughout this conversation, but just to summarize one more time, like the importance of growing and putting energy into and focusing on the sort of exclusively new writers. Can you just sort of package everything up that we've talked about and just sort of concisely, one more time, just emphasize how elegant literature supports and focuses on the new writer community?
Yeah. I mean, storytelling it's important. It's important to get different people's perspectives into the world, to have, cultural views, to bring people's stories to life. It's one of the oldest things since we've been painting, buffalo on the walls of caves thousands of years ago to now. And now it is more accessible for everyone to be able to write stories, to learn how to do it well. And have a chance of getting those stories out into the world and maybe impacting somebody else and the way people think and having a positive impact on, a total stranger on the other side of the world. So storytelling is important, and the way the publishing industry is set up is and that's the way of business. Like I wish that I could publish all of these people and pay them tons of money. Everybody that submits, that would be fantastic. But economically, of course, you can't. But the way the publishing industry is set up is it's very difficult to get into. It takes years. You're writing, you don't go to school you go to school as a computer programmer. You finish and you can probably get a job programming computers. As a writer, you can go to school for writing, and then you have to write a novel, and then you have to spend potentially years hoping it gets published, and maybe never. Maybe it never happens, but you got to write the next one. And so an artistic. We want to support the arts, and it is a difficult world to break into in a way. A lot of people who write, they know that they want to write. They need to write. They have stories they want to write. And the biggest problem is that it's difficult to start a career where you actually get paid to do that, where you're not working a day job and writing snatches. I always say we have more stories inside us than we have time to tell in a single life. And so really the only way to tell as many stories as you can, as you have inside you, is to create a career where you are a storyteller by profession, have the time to devote to that. And it's difficult to break into. So that's one of the reasons that I want to support as many new writers as possible, is to get as many new voices into the world and get as many stories out there as we can in the best way possible. So to me, new writing, it's new writers and emerging talent. It's so important. It's the next generation of authors.
It sounds like everything that you're doing at Elegant Literature fully supports that vision and mission between the sort of engagement in the community, the sort of potential for acclaim and prize, and then the education from, seasoned, experienced professionals all in one little package is almost, it's perfectly purpose built to support and foster the journey for new writers and authors. That's really great. Speaking of that journey, do you happen to have like a case study or a success story from one of your 270 authors that you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, I mean, quite a few. It's hard to pick one. I was thinking about this. Who are we gonna? Who are
There's
we gonna?
so many. I just have,
I gotta pick one, and then I feel bad about not picking others and things.
yeah.
But I mean, there's two that I want to highlight because they're kind of different successes in my mind. So one of our award winners from back, I think in year one, a woman named Tara Patrick. She had been published three times with us, and the fourth time is like that's the cap, and then you're out. And it is a bittersweet thing if you get published four times because it makes you a professional author in so many ways. But you also maybe didn't win the award, and you're no longer able to submit, and that can be a bittersweet thing, even though you are going off in the world as a professional author. In this case, Tara won the award on her fourth publication with us, and I had the chance to speak with her, and then a couple months later, I heard that because actually I think it was before she had won the award, which even makes it more impactful, is because of the motivation boost of having been published in the magazine, having someone have read your work, thought this is good enough to publish. And I want to pay you for it was so motivational to her that she had been thinking about quitting writing entirely. And she got those publications and she went, you know what? Actually, I'm going to go full on into this. And went into like left her the job that she was working at, went in as an editor went into the publishing world. Obviously, the end goal is to become a professional storyteller, maybe a novelist, but she decided to change careers to better reflect her desire to work in the publishing industry and to tell stories, to be immersed in stories. And to me, that is a huge success for elegant literature because like that, people say if I can just make an impact on one person, if I could just change one person's mind, then I'd be happy. Like that's done for me. That was one of the biggest things going into elegant literature, making this is just make a positive impact on writers' lives. And that for me is one of the biggest successes that I've had. And that's been repeated many times, not necessarily in exactly the same way, but giving that, I've had so many people tell me I was going to quit writing, but yeah, you publishing me, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going with this. And that is what I wanted from Elegant Literature is to support these new writers and to support the arts and make sure that people kind of get their art out there. Another one that is more of a success from the writer side, which is what what writers really care about. They don't care about me feeling good about the business that I'm doing. They care about how it can help them succeed in their career. Owen Dooley is he was published with us four times. He took one of my courses. I ended up knowing him personally. I then later brought him on as a preliminary judge to the contest because he'd gone on and got stories after he got published with us. He went off and he got stories published elsewhere. He was a reader for another magazine. I brought him in as a preliminary judge for us because I really respected his work. I know him, and I think that he does a very good job. He's very thoughtful about the art, and he cares a lot about it. Recently, he got his debut. It was a novella, so a shorter novel. That was picked up by a traditional publisher. Beautiful cover, really, really amazing final product. I was at a convention with him, the World Science Fiction Convention in Glasgow this year, and he was selling his book. Bigger name, famous authors were coming and taking because that indie press was so well known to some of these people. Bigger name authors were taking notice of him and he was making connections, and so that I'm sure that he would have done that had he gone anywhere, had he started. But hopefully, and in my mind, Elegant Literature hopefully accelerated that process for him. I know he's going to go on and publish more novels and have a successful writing career because that's just who he is, how good his writing is. But hopefully, Elegant Literature accelerated that timeline by allowing him to get some of those professional credits much faster because he's not competing with big name authors for very small, very only a few spots in other places. So he's definitely going on to be very successful. And again, that is an example that I had to choose, but there are more authors in our community who are following that same path. There are ones who are self-publishing and finding success. There are ones who are getting traditional deals. There are ones who are going to work for other magazines and for small presses and for larger presses. So it is that for me is a fulfillment of what elegant literature is supposed to be and supposed to do and make that positive impact on the lives of authors. And my goal is to just bring that kind of success and forward career progression to as many emerging writers as possible over the next, hopefully lifetime. I hope it's around for a long time. We've just started our fourth year, and I'm very much hoping to be able to say we've just started our 40th year down the road, and look back on all the new authors that are actually having their stories published and read in the world because of getting a start with elegant literature. That's just what I want to see happen.
Well, Craig, it sounds like you created the perfect sort of playground and resource group to get people on their way. And just those two stories you shared seem to be the sort of perfect mirror or validation of the mission that you're, on a journey to bring to life. So I would say keep up the good work. It sounds like you have the right combination of Tinker Toys to make the thing go. That's great. Just one sort of final closing thought, and that is, if there is anything that you want our users or folks out there interested in spoken and the sort of democratized access to audio and getting, new authors getting their work out there, what would that be from your perspective?
Oh, it's just, I mean, keep the dream alive. There is that with the new age that, we've been experiencing. I always say, we are living in the future. If you go 20 years ago, I've got like a computer on my wrist. I've got a computer in my pocket. There are tools. We have no idea what the future holds. There are tools like Spoken being developed now that you would never have thought of 5, 10 years ago. What is it, like 15, 20 years ago? We didn't have Amazon KDP. It wasn't accessible for as many authors to like you. If you have the drive and you have if you have the motivation to write a book and learn how to market it and go the self-publishing, you can build yourself a career. There is nothing stopping you from doing that now. There are now tools like Spoken to help you do that. There's tools like Elegant Literature to help you get a start on the traditional side of things and get that education. Um, there's so many people that are rooting for you, even if you don't know who they are yet. You're learning about them now. You're going to meet them. There's such a positive place in this industry for writers to support each other. Just always keep with it, even during the hard times. Find a community, take advantage of things, and stick with it over time because new tools, new avenues of success are going to open up. And writing is a long-term thing. You just keep writing, keep telling stories, and never give up on that dream.
Wow, this guy's an inspiration. I think that's a wrap. Are you feeling pretty confident? I think you did a great job.
I'm feeling great. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, it's nice to meet you, Spoken users. I hope you come over to Elegant Literature, write stories, get published in our magazine, maybe even win an award. And even if that doesn't happen, get those stories up on Spoken. I can see a really good synergy between Elegant Literature and Spoken, and the way that the community can use both of them in tangent and hopefully make a big impact on your career over the next 6 months, over the next couple of years. So thanks, Andrew. I'm really excited to be working with you guys. I think that this is a great collaboration, and it has been a lot of fun being able to talk to you today.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll be in touch here pretty soon.
All right, Spoken. See everybody later. Thank you.